That sounds very good. Hello there, my name is Victoria Dioh. I am known as the African Oracle. As somebody who has delivered over £12 billion worth of programs, I know what it's like to work with people who are successful but don't feel fulfilled. And I help you make those decisions that you can't afford to not make. It's nice to meet you. Now, we've also got a guest. Now, before we normally have co-hosts that come in and guest with us. This time round, we actually have a proper guest, like a proper guest. Lindsay Clare, hello.
Thank you. I'm welcome to, happy to be a very proper guest.
proper guest, yes.
Proper one.
We are. Now, I was going to actually introduce you, but I think you should introduce yourself. Do you want to tell us about you?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Lindsay Clay, and I'm a personal brand visibility expert and an award-winning founder of a brand called Connected Brighton, which I started out of lockdown to help make new friends and put money into independent hospitality. And now we've just had our 5th birthday, which is completely wild. And we've grown to be a full city concierge service now. So we help people make new friends, we support local businesses, we organise private parties, we're part of the tourism function in the city. And as a Brighton girl born and bred, it brings me a lot of joy to bring joy to my hometown.
See, I love that. When we got to speak, because obviously now we're doing it all professional. So we had a chat beforehand to say, oh, you know, what we're going to talk about. By the way, Lindsay is Naomi's friend.
She's my BBB.
She's a BBB. Yeah, so it's like it's all connected here. But when we had a chat, I love the fact that you talk about a story of reinvention. And I believe that as a woman in business, or just anybody in business really, I feel like everybody at some point has had to go through a space of reinvention. So we're going to be just having a normal chat, but also we're going to be asking you questions as well, because we'd love to feed off your experience and also what you've really been through. So we're going to start with the first question, and then the ladies will chip in. Can you just give us, almost like a background to your story? So who was Lindsay before all of this?
Oh, she was very different. Although all my friends, whenever I say about like I'm really shocked at what I've done and really proud of myself because I didn't think I had it in me, and all my mates are like, "You're the only one." Like we all saw this in you from the beginning, but I just didn't have the level of confidence like that I have now, because like my backstory was very much kind of like good girl, 9 to 5, go up the corporate ladder, find a boy, get married, and then plan to have children. Although I never wanted kids, but I always thought that's what I had to do. So that's kind of a really big part of my story. And my family's like very fertile. So I thought I was like the most fertile in the village. Turns out I'm not the most fertile. Spoiler, actually very infertile. And so I went through a fertility journey with my ex-husband, which sadly ended in our divorce. We did IVF, we had a miscarriage. It was horrific. It was like everybody around us was having kids, whether they'd been together like 10 seconds or 10 years. It's like everyone. It's like, don't look at the red bus, isn't it? Or the yellow car. And then it's like all you can see. And it's like all I could see was pregnant people. And I felt like I had this like flashing sign over my head that was just like barren. Like it's just not happening for you. And every conversation was like, how's it going? Or I'd get told if people were announcing pregnancies, I'd know, because they'd suddenly turn up with like an orange juice and we were all like boozy because we were in our like late 20s, early 30s. And I'd be like, oh, they're pregnant. And then I started to get told separately to like protect me. And that just made it even worse because I was even more of a sad sack. And it just like the pressure and was even harder and higher. And then obviously my divorce happened. And after my divorce and that kind of really like properly like falling apart, I decided to write a blog called Not the Blueprint, and it was all about how I didn't fit into society anymore. So I was literally not to the blueprint. I'm not getting married. I'm not having a family. I'm divorced. I'm single in my mid-30s and nobody quite knows what to do with me. So I've got 2 choices now. I can go away and hide and just live a little life, or I can decide that if I can't fit in, the other thing I could do is stand out. So I decided to share my story really honestly and openly and very vulnerably on this blog. And it was kind of me just healing in real time. And that was really the first domino to get me where I am today.
I love that. Ladies, any questions?
No, I think that's a really interesting story. And I think like when you've got a tight friendship group as well, and everybody's going through like things together. Like my friendship group have been friends since we were at school together, and like you see people, like one person will get married and then the next person and the next person, and everything all happens like at quite similar timings. So I can imagine like being the odd one out. One of my friends, she was always the single one, and she's just recently found a partner a couple of years ago, and she was single up until being 35. And I think like she had that pressure on her to be to find, she needed to find a partner almost, and we didn't put a pressure on her, and it wasn't like coming from us, but I think she felt it internally, and I imagine that's similar to sort of the thing you were feeling.
Like, it doesn't matter what you achieve, people still look at what you haven't got. So they'll
Yeah.
still be like, what, everything I've done, all the success I've had, all the awards, listed in the top 100 entrepreneurs in the UK, and people be like, I've not got a boyfriend yet though. It's like, no. It's just like, I don't know why we're so obsessed with having to partner people off.
Yeah.
And this is like my whole thing around like societal norms is normal for who? Like, there's different shades of how you can live your life. And I was always the odd one out of my friendship circle anyway, because I grew up we were a foster home growing up. My family fostered, and so I was very different in how I interacted with people because I was around very different individuals growing up that gave me great people skills. Then when we were going through those things at the same time of like, dating, meeting people, I had a London job, and all my friends had Brighton jobs, and so I was always a bit of like a Chandler Bing of my mates, in that they never really knew what I did. They just knew that I was earning good money, and that just kind of continued. So I was always kind of slightly out of place, but I was always in pace. And then as soon as this happened, and then we all got married about the same time, but with the kid thing, they literally all had children like within a year of each other. And then I was then out of place and out of pace. And that was really hard. Like, it felt like someone had just like chopped my arm off. And then now as the single one, I would go to like lunches, and, everybody would talk about the same, like jabs, nappies, nurseries. And then sort of slowly but surely after that had been exhausted, like all eyes would turn to me like, so how's dating? And it would just be like, perform, monkey, perform. And that's how it felt, because I had this completely different life to them, and like I couldn't relate to them anymore, and they couldn't really relate to me. And it's that tribal thing, isn't it? Like, if you're outside the tribe, you don't survive. And so having to find like a new crew was the really big thing for me. I needed to find other people, and that's the biggest thing about community, and why there's so many different communities, and why community is so important, is you need to have, and you need to see people role modeling that there's another way to live, and there's another way to be. And then there's no wrong or right, there's just different. Because that can be the other hard thing when you're, single, and especially being child-free, childless, depending on how you identify in that scenario, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, it's a great thing. I don't have the hormones to do it, hence why I don't have them. So then it kind of made sense to me why I hadn't wanted to breastfeed a kitten like my friends would have done if they didn't have a chance, because they just needed a baby so badly. And I was like, I just don't feel that way. And I think they're cute and everything else, but I just never wanted them. And then so when I found out I didn't have, like, the hormone that should be high was low, or that should be low was high, barely had any eggs, and I had a tilted uterus. I mean, this body is just not designed to make children, but it does fit you. And then it was like, cool, this is not who I'm meant to be. But I know for other friends, it's a wound that will never, ever heal, that they never got to be a mother. And so I don't try and like trivialize that. And that's again where there's amazing communities for people who it is a wound that will never heal. And there's like an amazing space for you. Gateway Women is great. Anyone who's watching and listening that feels that way, look up Gateway Women. They're a great organization. World Childlessness Week, they're also a great organization that can kind of hold that space for you. But it's also okay if it's a good thing that you enjoy your life without children. It's also a great thing if you enjoy being single. Just trying to, again, I think for me, it's about visibility. Like, I'm all about visibility. It's because I want to role model that it's okay to be different.
Yeah. I feel like you've just come into my head and pulled out so much around stuff that I don't even talk about, around stuff that I completely relate to. I reckon, apart from the divorce, pretty much most of what you're saying. I've never wanted children, and I'm so grateful. No, I've never craved to have children, so I've never been broody. And people would be like, "Oh, but didn't you want children?" And my response has always been, if there was somebody to do it with, it's something that I would consider. But I also believe that, I've done everything else on my own and I have no intention of doing that on my own. It's just not going to happen at all. And that time's gone now anyway, even though there's women having babies at 70, but hey ho. But I love the fact that, that bit where people are expecting you to have children and people are trying to have conversations around you and you realizing that those conversations no longer pertain to you. And if I'm really honest, it's one of the reasons why I moved away from a lot of friendships, because I was just like, we have nothing to talk about, and I refuse to be part of a friendship where everybody's trying to figure out school games and the dynamics of having a child, which comes with every parent. And I'm so happy it does, but it's just not my world, and I just couldn't fit in. And as a result, I stopped accepting invitations to those spaces. So it's really useful to hear you speak with such vocabulary that I've not really thought of.
Because it is an interesting thing, I think, and I don't know if it's more for women than men, because when I've talked about it openly on like LinkedIn, for example, I got actually a lot of guys commenting about how people treat them for not having children either. But I think I remember like crying my eyes out on the last night of my 30s, because that decade had just been so blooming hard. But also just I was like, I couldn't wait for a clean slate for people to ask me about when we're going to have kids or why I'm going to have kids. And actually, it didn't stop. It was still like, oh, yeah, have you tried this doctor? And oh, but you haven't tried with me. And, well, you could always adopt and you could do this. It's like, you're still treated as there's something missing if you don't have children.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is most people don't really consider the men in this situation. But my partner Chris, he's never wanted kids. He's in his 40s now. He's never had that like paternal urge to have kids. And when I met him, I'd got my two children who were, I think they were 5 and 7 at the time, and we had an honest, open conversation about like how that would look. And he said, "I don't know how it's going to be because I've never been around children before, but all I know is I don't want to have children of my own." And I knew I didn't want to have any more children because there's nothing like having children to stop you from feeling broody because they completely put you off having children. But he came into our life and he is the best dad to my children, Maisie and Joshua, but he still has no desire to have any children of his own, and he sees Maisie and Joshua as his own children. He's a dad to them, but that desire is not there.
It's not for everyone. I think it's like with everything, it's like we're not all meant to do the same thing. We're not all meant to be the same. We're not meant to do the same. Like there wouldn't be, the world doesn't work. You need the shade of everything to work in this world because we all bring something to this kind of machine. We're all a different cog in the wheel, And so I think people have said things to me like, my business is for sure. People said to me, well, I know you didn't have children, Lindsay, but like your business is your baby. And my business is my baby, but it's not like I had to have that because I didn't have a baby. It's like, yes, I have, and I'm very loving and I'm very motherly, and I love seeing my friends' kids and my nieces. And, it's not like I don't like children. I think that's another thing that's assumed as women. It's like, you must not like kids. It's like, why would you want them? Like, why wouldn't you want them? And like the pity that sometimes people can give you, but it's just we're not all meant to do it. And I think my only sadness of it is that I didn't stick to my guns. I remember saying to my ex-husband when we met, like, I don't think I'm right for you, because he was really broody, and I was like, well, I don't really want kids, and he was like, no, I want you, it's all fine. And then we got swept up into the social norm pressure with like becoming a couple and getting married and everyone and buying a house, and I did all the things right, my good girl era. I was doing everything right, and it was really hard to realize that I couldn't. I felt like I wasn't a woman. I definitely went through a cycle of feeling that way, but actually I couldn't be more grateful to be, who I am today, and to be able to inspire and motivate, calm and reassure the people with, he, she, they, straight, gay, who need to hear it. And I remember at one point being like the poster girl for infertility, and I was okay with that. And then it got to a point where I was like, actually, I don't think I want that to be my poster. I think I want my poster to be transformation and resilience, because I'm more than that. And I talk about it a lot with my coaching and mentoring work. you'll have a book. Your life so far is a book with many chapters. And for me, divorce is one chapter and infertility is another. There's so many other good chapters now. And they're the chapters I want to like talk and promote, but I can't take out those chapters of the story because I wouldn't be here without them. And so I'm really proud of them. But that's not, the front cover doesn't say infertility and divorce.
Yeah.
Lindsay, I love your story, and you know, obviously we've known each other for just over a year now, and I think so much of what drew me to you was how you showed up online unapologetically, owning what you've been through, but also being that beacon of light for others. And I know for me, you know, 51, single, child free, there's so much of what you said there that I can relate to, that societal pressure, that friendship pressure, that kind of growing away from friends because either the conversation just is always the same thing. And for me at that point, it was actually very triggering, even though it wasn't something I wanted. Like you said, it made me feel less than for being single, for not having a child, for not doing that. Something I wanted to come back to was you said about fitting in and standing out. What was the defining moment, if there was one, that when you said about like I could either choose to just kind of shrink back in and fit into the life I was living, or I could stand out? What was that moment that kind of put that fire in your belly and made you come back and think, I'm going to turn this into something really positive?
I think I just couldn't be sad anymore. I had so much grief attached to my divorce. Not so much the infertility stuff, just because when you're in it, like you don't think anything of it. Like you're just in the trenches, aren't you? And you're just kind of use one foot in front of the other. We've got to like, it's injection day. It's got to take the pills, you know, yada, yada. Everything's got to happen. But it was really traumatic. And so there was a period after when like marriage had ended and just like the dust was just starting to settle. I remember a Buddhist friend of mine said two really great things to me. One was you can't be angry at a lion for roaring. When I was saying about some people around me, and he was like, they are who they are. And that was really helpful. And then the other thing was, you know, you've just had like a life bomb go off. Like, don't make any decisions now. Like, just wait for the dust to settle. And I think while the dust was settling for me, I just was in like such a victim mode. You know, like I just felt like this had happened. You know, it was all like me. What about me? Like the pity party just went on for a long time. And it was just eating me from the inside out. And I just realized that I was just in kind of this fight by myself. Like I was in the boxing ring, ready for this fight all the time, but there was no one else there to fight with. Like, this was me against me. And I remember writing, well, not the blueprint about it, saying, you know, I can either keep this victimhood on, or I can put my survivor cape on. And I've decided to put a survivor cape on, and I just decided to flip the script. And instead of thinking of myself like a victim, I decided to think of myself as a survivor. And from that moment, that's when I was like, right, okay, we're going to do something with this. And, you know, writing Not the Blueprint was great. There was no other intention to it other than just to share my story. And I was starting to get people messaging me, you know, of all genders, in all ways, saying like, I really get what you're saying, and I'm really worried that I'm never going to have kids, or actually I'm really worried that I am going to have them and I don't really want them, but I love my partner. And so I relate to that part of your story, because again, I was sort of standing out because I wasn't one of those women that was so desperate for children and never had them, and I wasn't one of those women that always knew it wasn't for them and so we're never going to bother. I'd fallen down this annoying crack of not really wanting them, but had done it because I love my husband and I wanted to fit in with society and my friends, and it hadn't worked and I'd lost everything. So like, where was that category in all of this? It didn't seem like there was one, but I thought, you're never the only one, so there will be other people who feel that way. And so it was a combination of that, of just being sick of myself being so sad and thinking you've got to do something else. And then writing about it was just so healing, having people reach out to me. And then I thought, I want to be able to have the skills to help people and help more people. So that's when I trained to be a coach with the coaching academy and looked at being like a therapist and stuff. But I remember going on the journey, which was an amazing retreat for anyone that was looking at the journey, with Brandon Bayes. And you do this like guided meditation into like your body and like find the pain, and it's very, very effective. But I remember just sat there surrounded by like 80 people crying and thinking like, I can't do this. Like I don't want to go into therapy. It's too much grief, and I've had too much grief already, and I'm trying to come out and be positive. So like, where's a positive discipline? And then stumbled on coaching and was like, oh my gosh, this is the thing, because it's a positive enabler to get you to like the future and like where you want to get to. And like, we're we're aware of what's happened before, but we're building on that to build. We want to go forward. And I've been, in effect, coaching at work for like 10 years as a planning and performance manager, but we just never called it that when we were putting plans together for the business. So it just felt like very natural to me. And I thought, oh, the clouds have cleared and I think I know what I'm going to do now. And so I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I'm so what's the word? So connected again with what you're saying. And I'm a strong believer as well that I talk a lot about purpose. I believe that your purpose is your foundation. And if you can know what you're here to do, you know, you can start to plan things in your life and you've got more clarity than possibly ever before. But one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you hit your purpose, you go through things that humble you and you know and bring you to your knees. And I believe the reason for that is so that when somebody else crosses your path who's going through the same thing, that you're there to help them. And when you talk about your business and your community and what you set up, to me it just feels like a circular moment where you've gone through something because you tried to be something that you weren't, because society were pushing you towards. You then discovered who you truly were and stuff, and bam, there's people there going, we need help, and you're there to support them, guide them, so that they can get back to a life that they can fall in love with again. And I just love the journey. And like I say, it really is poignant to me because I can relate with you so much. It's almost like I've never been pregnant, but I feel like I've lived the life of all of that. I've never had people, not necessarily people saying, oh, you know, try this, try that, but I've had people going, so you're not going to have children then, you know, and I've just brushed it off because it's never really felt like something that should be mine, if that makes sense and stuff. But I can imagine for somebody who has that wound, like you said, of wanting a child, you never get over it. You know, I know women who were told by their husband that they wanted children, and then the husband changed their mind after marriage and all of that and stuff. So you know, it's and my heart breaks for that because I know that having a child is one of the most glorious things. But it doesn't mean just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that thing, because I remember the first time writing about it on LinkedIn, because I never had any intention really of talking about not the blueprint and my infertility like outside of like that Instagram. And then when I was coaching, then yes, I wanted to help people go from A to B. When I started Connected Brighton, I didn't expect to talk about it at all. I really thought that was going to be like, just come out and enjoy Brighton, everybody, and look at the pier and look at these amazing cocktails, this beautiful food, and it's all fabulous. But straight away, people were like, why are you doing it? Why are you starting it? Like, what's it for? And then as soon as I started telling people and then was brave enough to go, actually, I'm just going to tell people my story and I'm going to put my face on this brand, because even though I teach people personal brand visibility, I wasn't planning on putting my own face on it. And then as soon as I did, and I said, look, I need new friends in my 40s. I went through an infertility and divorce and I felt socially stranded. I've got money in the bank. I've had a great job and I want to support independent hospitality in my hometown. Who's in? And then suddenly like the floodgates just opened. And then because I share that story regularly, people share their story. Like my vulnerability has bred the vulnerability in others, and that's I'm so grateful for. And then talking about it on LinkedIn felt like a really big thing again, because obviously that's not a platform that you're meant to talk about personal things. But I remember talking about it, and it's one post, and it was like, you know, sometimes you just do a post because you're like, oh, I should do a post. I'll just pop this one off. Yeah, it's quite personal. Let's see what happens. And I had like 100,000 views. And then I had all of these people messaging me, but in my DMs, because they were so ashamed of their infertility. And they were like, but I needed to hear you say it. I can't say it. But I'm glad that you can say it, because now I feel better, but I'm just not where you are. And I've had a lot of people reach out and say that to me. Like women of kind of like all ages and stages, you know, men too, theys who are like, I would never tell anyone. I would never talk about it, because it does feel, and I think that sort of shame word is like very emotive, isn't it? Like I even just even though I don't have it, I can still feel it in my chest with just that word. And I feel more driven to talk about it because I just want to normalize this so that people don't feel that shame. Because like you said, just because you can doesn't mean that you should, and just because you can't doesn't mean you're not worthy. You know, you're not lovable, or you're not giving back to the world in some way or other. You know, it's such an interesting space that I just really had no clue about until I started Not the Blueprint, and then was going to like blog. I went to going to like fertility blogging events, and you know, getting in with kind of like that crowd at the time. And you know, there was women who were like remortgaging their house like the 4th time to be able to afford the next round of IVF, and who were, you know, lying down for 24 hours after treatment, and you know, doing headstand with and taking a wheatgrass shot at the same time. You know, it was like anything to have a baby. But so there's a lot of wounds out there, but it's also educating people. So when I have done those posts, and I continue to do them, a lot of the time I say to just educate people and say, if someone says they don't have kids, just the first question you should ask, is that a good or a bad thing? Because then you just open the door. Because if they say, actually, it's a bad thing for me, I would have loved it, then give them the pity, because that's okay. Like, they've opened the door to allow you to have that conversation. But if they're like, actually, for me, it's a good thing, then you can be like, oh God, amazing, that must be fab. You can do what you like when you like. What a rock star. You know, so just allow that person to guide the conversation, and don't just assume that they're a sad sack because of it.
And I know recently you commented, obviously the Kylie documentary came out.
Yes.
And, you know, you commented there about the disgusting questions that she was asked, and intrusive questions that she was asked time and time again, from obviously the press and from, you know, being in the sort of public domain. Now we're looking back, you know, if we look back at Kylie, that is kind of going back to like the 90s, but also the noughties. Do you think that time has evolved, and therefore, and you said that word shame, which I think so many, not just women, I think so many people feel shame around things that are unspoken, or things that aren't the norm, or are brushed under the table. Do you think that 20, 30 years ago, these conversations would have, could have, should have happened? Or do you think that it has literally been that actually time has evolved, and now it's a place to be able to do it? Or do you think that, you know, Kylie could have stood out and had those conversations like you're doing right now?
Yeah, it would have been, because I think the thing with Kylie, she did want children, didn't she? So, you know, when they were asking her, they were poking a really big wound in her. And that's the thing where it's just so uncomfortable watching those interviews back in the day, because you're like, you don't know what's going on for that person. Like everyone giving Jennifer Aniston similar, talking about, you know, our marriage and babies. It's like, she's an absolutely phenomenal powerhouse of a woman. Like, why are we reducing it to children and a partner? Like, I just don't get it. I think there's just, again, this like script that we're all supposed to follow. And even for, I think the one with the Kylie documentary, when it was Kat Deely that asked her, and you know, when you're like, oh, Kat Deely, that is not good for the sisterhood at all, is it? But I do think there's just one script, and I don't know how much it's changed, but I think you're just not allowed to ask those questions so much anymore. It's like when you went to corporate jobs and they say, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And you weren't sure, were they asking, what do you mean? What are you really asking? And people getting a bit nervous of someone joining in their late 20s, like, oh God, they're going to go off, you know, but you just can't say those things. So I think we have definitely evolved, but I definitely don't think we are where we should be in terms of it being a truly accepted way to live your life. Yeah. You know, that from the fact of the response I'll get when I talk about it still, I think, there was an amazing woman, American actress, who again sort of talks about partners, and like, you know, if it was someone that was going to improve her life, then she'll do it, but otherwise she's not going to do it. And it always does so well, because it really resonates with people. We don't want to just settle and be forced into a life that doesn't suit us anymore, but it still feels like a taboo, which is why I want to just keep talking about it and normalizing it and showcasing it and celebrating it, and being in communities of people like yourself who get it with me, where we can say, you know, it's fine, like, we're not less, we're not more, we're just different, and can we just celebrate that?
Love it.
T-shirts.
Let's get t-shirts.
Yeah.
Different.
I feel like I'm the odd one out in this group of people.
You are.
Kicking me out. I'm not allowed a t-shirt.
You can have a t-shirt. You know, you're not more, you're not less. You're just different.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I think that's one of the things that we have explored previously through being part of the panel. We're all in very different situations, and we've talked about, like, I've got my two children who are now about to turn 10 and 12, and I have a partner, and we're actually I lost my husband in 2018, so I became a widow, and I've been through being a single parent, and then now we're actually a really normal family of four. So I've been through different stages of family life, and now I'm in a strong position, but it comes with its challenges. Like the 6-week holidays are coming up on Friday, and I've still got to run my business through those 6-week holidays. But then we've talked about how, like, Naomi and Victoria, and probably similar to yourself, if you're the only people bringing money in to the house and you're the one that has to do everything, all the managing, that brings a whole different set of challenges for you. And I think no one person's life is like harder or easier because of their circumstances. Everyone's got their own challenges and their own things that they find difficult.
100%. And I think that's where it's like, I'm not like a mum hater, honestly, Rochelle. I'm not at all. I just think, like, we've just got our own things going on. We've got to sort it out. And it's, the pressure is real in everyone's life for whatever is going on. Like exactly as you said, you've got to make sure that you're performing because you've got 3 people that you've got to look after in all of this. Like, it's not just you. And then we've got it, like, when it is just you, the pressure of not having anyone to take over the mental load is like, can be like really exhausting. And there's definitely been moments where I just would love someone to just take the decision about, do I get the roof fixed or not? Yeah. Just like the house stuff, can someone just sort the house out or do the washing or something? But when it's like all on you, there's an amazing freedom to that, but there's also an incredible amount of pressure. But it's the same for you. You've created an amazing family, and there's like so much joy in that, and then there's pressure in that. It's just exactly as you say, everyone's just got their own environment with which we've created, but then you want to make it work, and we've chosen the lives that are right for us.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing, choosing the lives that are right for you. I think like so many people, like what you went through, where you're trying to create that family unit that actually is not what you want, and then that can cause lots of friction. And I think one of the things that I learned, like when my husband passed away, was that life's just too short to be doing everything to please other people. And even though I am still a chronic people pleaser, I'm battling with that, because I know that, like, you can't please all of the people all of the time, so you're best doing the things that can please you, and then if other people are upset by that, then so be it, but you'll make other people happy at the same time.
I think it's one of the best but hardest lessons that we've got to learn in life, isn't it? Like, I'm also a recovering people pleaser, and I'm definitely having a relapse at the moment where I just seem to be, gosh, she's out of control, this people pleaser within me at the moment. So it's just a natural thing, isn't it? Like, and I think, we talk about it as well, like, especially as women, because we are like, motherly and nurturing, and we want to be nice, and we want to be kind, and we want to be the good girl. And, I relate to all of those things, like, for sure. But being able to just be like, actually, that doesn't work for me, is one of the most powerful things I think I've kind of ever been able to say, when I've been able to say it, to just think, actually, I'm just going to do things my way and woe betide. And 100% life is too short. I lost my dad when I was 21 to a heart attack, and it just gave me, he was 52, and it just gave me this like must make the most of life complex almost. I think I'm almost like burnt myself out, I think, a little bit in my 20s, just trying to like eat it up, because it was like, it's so precious and you've got to do it and you've got to do everything. And it's taken me a long time to be able to be like, it's okay to just lie on the sofa and do nothing today. Like, you can just do that too. And that's also enjoying your life and also making the most of it. Because I had this real like, oh my gosh, he can't, so I must go out and do everything. And you never know. But that also didn't stop me from like making bad choices in like relationships or people pleasing. It's like, actually, time is so precious. I appreciate it more than ever. The older I'm 47 now, and I feel very conscious of that 52 date. For him, kind of creeping up to it. I know, Naomi, you relate to that with your mum. Like, it makes it even more prominent to me that, have I really got time to wait? Have I got time to waste? And do I have time to waste on that person or that thing? No, I don't. And so getting stronger about that. But it's a muscle, Rochelle, isn't it? Oh my gosh, that just like going to the gym. That's where my people pleaser's coming out. I obviously haven't been like working that muscle hard enough lately that she's coming back out again. But it's amazing when you can do it, but it is a constant work. I think, to be able to hold the line and boundaries well, and something that we all do and all fall off the wagon on, for sure.
Yeah, I was saying the other day, I think it might have been in the podcast studio, about even just little things to me. Like, I'll get my chai latte from Costa, and sometimes they don't put enough of the chai in it. And previously I'd have just suffered in silence and not enjoyed my drink. Whereas now I'm going, no, I paid for it. Can you please put some more chai into my drink? And it's just like little things like that push us out of our comfort zone and help us to like stand up for ourselves, learn to say no.
I've seen people like eat raw chicken in a restaurant because they just won't say it's wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're like, I think you should make
That'll never be me. That'll never ever be me. It'll never ever.
We know, don't we, Naomi?
No.
It'll never ever be me.
Change Victoria's African oracle to Victoria Diva after Friday. I mean,
what happened?
Her, like her entourage.
Do you know what? I just know what I like. I just know what I like. And do you know what? It's so funny that you say that, because I feel like I've done the people pleasing, but I've done it, and especially I just turned 53, and I feel as if I'm getting to that point where I don't want to please people anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not generally a people pleaser, but there's certain things that I won't respond to because I'm like, it's not worth my energy focusing on this, rather that. And right now, I feel so rebellious. I feel like there's certain authorities that I am literally just walking away from, not wanting to be part and stuff. And I'm scared. I'm scared for me, because like, if I say what I'm really thinking, you know that you say about this visibility thing? Damn, if I say what I'm thinking, so I think I'll be ousted and stuff. It's like my tolerance levels about that at the moment. But anyway, it's not.
Welcome to the estrogen decline.
Yeah. You're 52, you said.
Yeah. There's somebody who calls it 0 Fs and stuff. Like, literally, I give 0 Fs. Like, literally, it's scary to be in that position. I'm very aware that, you know, we try and stay here for like 45 minutes and everything else. I'd really love you to talk to us about Connected Brighton, because it's something that as soon as you start speaking about it, your eyes light up. I know that it is the evolution of where you've been and the journey and where you are and where you're going. Talk to us about that.
Oh, Connected Brighton. It brings me a lot of joy. And it brings me a lot of joy because I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I needed new friends and I wanted to support my hometown. And I was very, very naive about the whole thing, but I was so driven to do it. Like, the calling to do it was really loud. I just couldn't stop thinking about this idea of taking like professional people out for like private dinners in like the private dining rooms around the posh places around town. And I remember like a girlfriend of mine saying, like, I'll do it with you. And as soon as she said that, I was like literally like off the blocks. I was like creating the Instagram and I was like unstoppable. And then she was like, yeah, you don't need me. Like, you just crack on. Amazing. And then it was gave this amazing freedom to just go for it. But I definitely needed someone to like have the starting gun for me, like to get me off the blocks, which is what I love now with like kind of my coaching and mentoring work, like to be that person that gets other people off the blocks for their business. Because Connected Brighton has utterly changed my life. It's taught me like what I'm capable of. It's taught me so much resilience. Like, I didn't know anything about social media before I started Connected Brighton, and now I teach other people how to do their social media. The people that I've got to meet, the friendships that I have, you know, I just would never have crossed paths with these people on a normal day. And like the awards and stuff have been great. Like, we've been up for like 11 awards, and the Small Business Britain Female Founders List, getting in that top 100 in 2024 was just incredible and such a career highlight for the business. And it's, I think, good. She's like, yeah, this is amazing. And then it was like war, energy crisis, like mortgage. Now, you know, like VAT for hospitality, you know, increased costs for just anybody. There's so many reasons why this business shouldn't have survived till now, but there is something about community and there is something about in-person connection that value system like really speaks to people. And so building Connected is originally a social concierge service, and I remember like begging to get on this business course because I just didn't know how to run a business at all. And after 5 months I then had like members, and we had our app at the time, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've really got something going. And so we've grown it from like the social business to then having a business club called the Connected 100. I'm a Visit Brighton partner and a Tourism Alliance ambassador. I just love that I get to be part of the fabric of my hometown. And now I want to take this model into other cities so that someone else can get to feel this joy of being part of your community and doing something like so good for people. Because again, like how I fell down the gap with Not the Blueprint, lots of people that come out with us, they are people that might have not had children, that may have gone through divorce, or they've moved to Brighton for a new life, like as a couple or by themselves. So everybody has gone through like a pivotal change to come out with us. We've had several widows who've come out with us who weren't expecting this to be their life now in their 40s and 50s by themselves, you know, who just need people around that they can rely on. And, you know, we have things in the diary nearly every week, so you can just look at that and know you could just come out with us. We've sort of taken the thinking out of it for you. And their stories that they share with me, I feel very privileged to hold. And because I've now learned so much about business, and I really love the fact that I can hold the space for the business owners, and I make a lot of personal connections for our business owners, which, you know, it's one thing to say the door's over there, it's another thing to open it for someone. So I want to open as many doors as I can. And I'm very passionate about Connected in the City, which will be the franchise and license that I'm just working on this year. I got slightly delayed by it because I had a head-on collision in February, but by the end of the year, I'm hoping that I will have everything up and running so that someone else can take it on. And I get very excited at the thought of like Connected Manchester and Connected Bristol and Connected Liverpool, and, you know, going on like group holidays, or if you're going to work up in, you know, Connected Belfast, you know that there's people there that can look after you or give you recommendations. And to have that kind of national network and then maybe beyond is what kind of lights me up when I think about the potential of it. And I think for any business owner out there to like always think big of what your business could be in 5 years time, and that's definitely where I'd love to get mine. And as well, with that thought of my dad, you know, I really want to create this amazing business that I can then step back from and have more of a board level role, so that I can live, really love and like travel and, you know, mentoring people and writing and speaking. I do a lot of keynote talks, and I want to be able to have that kind of continued give forward of like inspiring and motivating people because of this incredible journey that I've had and what I've done with it. And that Connecting the City will just help to perpetuate that, because it will open the door for more people to share their stories and to help and support and get their communities to thrive and survive too.
Can I just say, not as a friend of Lindsay's, but as a Connected 100 member, which I am, and I've just renewed for my 2nd year, you know, and the reason I'm going to say this is because Victoria and Rochelle, obviously we filmed together on Friday, and we were talking about, you know, curated events, over promising, under delivering. And I can hand on heart say that what Lindsay does in Brighton, in Connected 100, in the community, goes above and beyond. I have never come across anybody before who will connect you and open those doors for you in the way that you do. You are absolutely, Lindsay, the wing woman, the cheerleader, the supporter, the connector, all those different things for everybody in your community. And I know, you know, you've obviously been through a really, really tough few months since your accident. And what has really, really shown from that, and I know you've, you know, documented this as well, is that the community that you created has rallied around and supported you back. So the thought of that happening, I've got goosebumps, the thought of that happening across the UK, potentially even further afield, when we are in a loneliness epidemic, feels so purpose and passion driven. So I just want to say that if anybody, you know, watching this is in the Brighton area, or obviously any areas where Lindsay does, you know, sort of roll out and model the connected model, just I wouldn't even give a second thought about joining. It is an absolute no-brainer for me.
That's being recorded. Thanks, Naomi.
You're welcome to use that as something wrong.
I always joke with people. I was like, the only thing I don't do is like walk around town with like a sandwich board of your face on it, but I pretty much do everything else, because I've got like my radio show, so I'm always name dropping all the time on the radio show. And now I've got on our local TV channel, I do business tips as like the founder of Connected Brighton. So it's always signposting people like back into the group so that I can make those introductions for people. Like it means a lot. And it wasn't really overwhelming when like suddenly people had to look after me because I'm so used to looking after other people.
Yeah.
But it was a great lesson as well in terms of like allowing people to do that. But when you're used to being the one that's rallying, it felt really odd to be rallied. But I loved it, and I'm so grateful to that community. It's made me fall in love with the business like even more than I already have.
Wow.
I think what I really liked when Naomi first told us about the business, because we were talking about how we're always traveling around the country to network, and we're traveling, like me and Victoria were in Newcastle a couple of weeks ago, and we're down in London, and I've been to Wales and been to Manchester, and we're constantly traveling around the country, and actually forget there's a whole network of people and business owners right on our doorstep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Like Brighton, you could network breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like in every day of the week. It's like incredible that the community down here, and there is so much opportunity, right on your doorstep. Defo. I mean, I'm excited to travel. I've got the opposite where I'm like, woo, because I was at Atomicon. I think I missed you guys.
Oh yeah.
No, gutted. But it was really fun. I really love getting to other cities and getting in different rooms. And Naomi and I went to an event in London, and I really love meeting like other business owners. And you know, it's a bit like with the Simpsons, where they have like Simpsons, and then what's like the side town they have?
Oh,
Is it like Shelbyville?
Yeah, yeah.
And so then you've got, but then it's like Moses that like that in the Simpsons land, but then it's called like Joe's in Shelbyville. It's like people are doing like very similar things, but I like really love that because it's like everyone's just got their passion for their thing. And so I love getting around and learning more about it. So I can't wait to see what the other communities will be in the other cities, like as and when they kind of get going. But I do feel like Brighton is one of a kind, I think, in terms of like how supportive everybody is. And even like the social club, when we launched the Connected 100, they were all like, this is amazing, like who's joining? And like they got really excited for like every business that came in, like just genuine like cheerleaders, because you know that whole thing of like your vibe attracts your tribe. I think we've got right at Connected. Like we're a very niche community of people, and I'm glad about that. I think the people that we have are glorious, and I'm very, very proud to present them.
Love that. Now, are you promoting anything at the moment other than the different locations of your membership or your community? Are you promoting anything?
So obviously there's the franchise, and then obviously I'm a personal brand visibility expert. So if there are any business owners that would like support in how they get out there, I know it can feel really overwhelming, especially at the moment where things are tougher and your pipeline might be drying up and you're realizing that your only option now is that you are going to have to get seen, and it can feel a bit much. Then I'm here to support you. So I've got a program called Get Visible, where I kind of walk founders through how they kind of build their credibility and their authority to attract more premium clients. So if anyone wants to talk to me about visibility, I would love to chat.
What's that? Well, we want to know when sort of like Connected Brighton goes international. Let us know. Keep us updated. Where can people find you?
So for Connected, it's at Connected Brighton on Instagram or www.connectedbrighton.com. And for me personally, it's at Lindsay Clay Official or lindsayclay.com.
Love it. Lindsay, it's been a pleasure. I could talk to you all day.
Thanks. I know this has been delightful. Thank you so much.
But we can't talk to you all day. But I want to say thank you so much for coming in and for being our first guest back.
Proper.
Like proper.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
You are more than welcome. I'm just going to take a picture of us. I don't normally do that.
Lindsay.
Yeah. Great. And we will see you next week. Again, if you would like to be a guest, let us know. If you would like to be a co-host, let us know. Just drop either of us a message. But we'll see you next week and we'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.